Okay, hello. So I had an ear procedure done like a week ago, and I had my follow-up with my doctor today, and I'm going to describe what the procedure was like. So basically, the procedure, it felt like it was going to be a bigger deal than it actually was. Mostly because I had to go to the hospital to actually get it done instead of a doctor's office. And then when I got to the hospital, they had me go up to the official operating room. I had to get a sample done, and that made it feel like a bigger deal. And I was like, oh my God, what did I just walk into? And the nurse was like, I'm so sorry. You didn't actually have to get that done. I was like, because in my mind, I'm like, I'm just getting a procedure on my ear. That feels like it's for bigger surgeries. But anyway, so I didn't really have to get the sample done. I'm sorry if that's TMI. Once I got that done, like I said, the actual procedure itself wasn't that bad. But so then I started thinking more in my mind. I was like, oh my God, now they're having me put on a hospital gown and a scrub cap. And then again, the nurse was like, I'm so sorry. It's not official surgery. It's just because you have to go into the back operating room. I don't know why they make you wear your gown for the back operating room and not the... Anyway, so because I was going to the back operating room, I had to put on a gown and a scrub cap. And then, so then after that, it takes a while to clean the operating room and stuff. So once I was finally in the operating room, then it smelled like a cadaver lab. And if you had ever taken if you had to ever take any bio classes, you'll know what I mean. So basically, I was thinking to myself before I walked in, I was like, who died in here? Why does it smell like that? But it was, and this is just me being funny. It wasn't really that big of a deal, but that's what I was thinking. And then, but it's what they have to do to obviously sanitize the operating room. It's just my ear. Cause that's what they do. It was technically the plastic surgery wing that I was in. So I got plastic surgery, but so my ear needed to get fixed. And then before that too, they asked me, the nurse was like, have you ever had any reconstructive surgery? And that's a question they have to ask because for the procedure, that question. But I'm anyway, and I don't care. It's made my life easier in ways, to be honest. But yeah. I have no problems. Nurse was asking me, he was like, so what did you do to your ear? I was walking through and I was like, oh, basically my earlobe ripped. And he was like, your earlobe ripped? How did your earlobe rip? And I was like, well, I had a slit in my ear for a while because my piercing had caused that. I don't know. I got my ears pierced. Sorry. When I was 6 months old. It's cultural. My dad looked at my mom the girls are 6 months old. Why do they have to get their ears pierced? But so it's a Hispanic thing. And then honestly, I'm kind of glad I did, so I didn't feel the pain, but I had the pain of having my earlobe split. So my earlobe completely just opened up on Thanksgiving after it hadn't been a slit for a while. My cousin Leah was like, Sarah, I don't know if you noticed, but there's something wrong with your earring. I was like, oh, yeah, no, you're right, Leah. It's just my ear is, there's a slit there. That's what's happening. So then on Thanksgiving, again, Leah was there. It just completely opened up. And then, so I was kind of freaking out. All my family was coming and I had to pretend everything was fine. I was like, my earlobe split. But and then, so I was just explaining, going back, to the nurse, what happened. And then, After the procedure was done, I had to be rolled out into a wheelchair. And I was like, why am I being rolled out like on a wheelchair? I can walk, I'm fine. But like, so, but it was like cool. I felt like I was like drifting like through the hallways. Like the nurse was bringing me like on the wheelchair, and I felt like we were like we were drifting. So it was kind of fun. And then like I just like got back, I checked out. They had to like do like other forms and stuff, and like moral of the story, I was fine, but they had to cut a piece in my ear, and then they had to like stitch the other stuff back together. And as far as like the pain afterwards, so I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't experience pain. Like I did, but it's like not the worst pain that I've had in my life. Like I say that like I've been through a war or something. But anyway, so I'm not a woman, because obviously I'm not like afraid of medical stuff. Like I've had diabetes since I'm like 8 years old, and I try not to be like too dramatic. But anyway, so my cousin was joking one time. We were going on a flight from oh my god, it's like this airport near me. Oh shoot. It's like, anyway, so it's like more convenient because it's not a big airport, but it feels like you're at the DMV, to be honest. And it's like it's there, and my sister was like freaking out on the flight. Sorry. So and stuff, and I was just like chilling. This man in like a bucket hat or something. This man in this tie-dye bucket hat. He was so funny. He was like, he gotta have been like, I don't know, middle-aged bucket hat, like, man. So he turned around and he started looking at us, and then he was freaking out because he saw my sister freaking out. I was on the airplane fine, because I was like, oh, whatever, like, you know, people get nervous when they experience turbulence, and I get that, but I've been flying again since I'm like, I don't know if I was exactly 6 months old, but my parents were going crazy. I like would go to concerts and like go on airplanes and stuff. Anyway, so I've been flying since I'm young, so I don't really fear flying that much the way that flying is now. Like, I don't really fear flying too much. So I was like, everything's gonna be fine. Like, I've experienced turbulence before. So I was fine, and this has like a point. Hold on. So I was like, I'm gonna be fine. I was the one comforting my sister. I was like, it's gonna be all right. Like, don't worry. She was really throwing her under the bus here, but she was like really gripping my hand. She was like, ah! And then we were telling this story to my cousins because it was like our family reunion. We'd all taken like different flights. So while we were telling my cousins this story, my cousin Leah was like, let me guess, Sarah was fine? I was like, yeah. Because, I don't know, I have this ability to stay calm in, like, stressful, like, situations. And my point is, I don't really freak out over the procedure or anything. It's, like, more the pain after. Yeah, I did feel, like, this tugging at my ear, and it did kind of hurt. And, but that's not to say that, like, to discourage anybody from it. Like, I don't know, it was like a procedure. I don't know what you expect. You're always gonna like feel some sort of pain, but it wasn't awful. So yeah, and then they when I turned my ear, I did kind of feel some pain, and then I would feel like this weird and tugging pain for a while, and it's better this week. But I do feel it from time to time. But yeah, I put this cream on my ear that the doctor had prescribed, and then like ibuprofen if I really needed to. But that was the procedure, and this is the story about my ear procedure. Thank you for watching. Oh, and also during the procedure, so about my blood sugar, like I said, I didn't have to fast or anything, luckily. My blood, I did, so that's the other thing. Obviously, when you have type 1 diabetes, I made sure to tell them, I was like, I have type 1 diabetes. I was like, I have my phone here, because I have my Dexcom on my phone, obviously, so I could check my blood sugar. So the people in the operating room, they like asked for the password on my phone. They're like, do you mind if I have the password? Anyway, so I gave them the password, and then they were able to check my blood, and they were actually monitoring it the whole time. Like, one of the nurses was like, yeah, I'm like right on it, and I appreciate you, man. They were checking my blood and then made sure to have juice right there, like at the end of the procedure, because they were monitoring it during, because I honestly thought my blood was going to drop. I had seen it go down a lot, but it had stabilized, and then everybody had seen that my blood sugar was going down after the procedure, and they're like, here we go, we got your juice right here. So that's my point. You gotta like advocate for yourself while having diabetes and in life, like, too. But like, anyway, so it's a little life lessons with Sarah. Oh, and also during my procedure, they asked me, they were like, which was very nice, like, my doctor was great, like, she was nice and stuff. She was like, do you want to listen to any music? And I was like, sure. Like, I didn't think they were actually going to put on music. Like, and they were like, what do you want to listen to? I was like, the Jonas Brothers. And I made a point to tell, like, everybody I came across that week that Joe Jonas, like, waved at me. And then she was like, next time, Joe, we're not going to have to do anything. And I was like, haha, I love that. Okay, it's going to take, like, 3 months for the scarring to kind of go away on my ear, and a year for it to completely go away. And that was my procedure. So I didn't feel pain during the procedure or when they had to, like, you know, slice the skin off my ear or anything. That I actually didn't feel at all. What I could kind of feel was when they can't do anything these days. So like I was saying, that's how long it takes to heal. I didn't feel any pain during the procedure. I just kind of felt more tugging, and then afterward too, but wasn't that okay bad. But if you had to get an earlobe procedure done, in all seriousness, you'll be fine. It just kind of, more than anything, you feel a little bit of pain, but it more feels like weird. The only thing I really felt was the injections at first. Obviously, Novocaine. If you've ever gotten Novocaine, you know that you feel a little bit, like, you feel the pinch of the needle, and they say, like, you could feel the liquid, like, moving through. I didn't feel the liquid moving through. So ironically, still wearing the same shirt today. Okay, so this is my ear. You can't really tell. You can't really tell as much. There is still a scar, and you could kind of see where it was before, like how it looked like the skin separated, that there was like kind of like a slit like there, but it's all back together. They like put the skin back together. They had to like cut the skin and like put it back together, like I said. And then still, like, when I touch my ear, so the sutures and everything in my surgery, they were dissolvable, so I didn't have to go back and get them removed. My ear looks pretty much alright, but after a year, that's when it should be completely healed, I guess, and I have to wait a year from the point of my surgery to get my ear re-pierced. So obviously I'm gonna be careful how I do that too. I asked which method is the best, whether going, like, you know, with a needle, or like one of those little like ear guns that they have or something. And the answer that my doctor gave me was the one that is the most simple and least invasive. So basically after that, and then I have to like check back on my notes, or maybe even like send a message again, but I'm gonna ask, I'm assuming, like, obviously it should be like re-pierced in a part that's above where I got like the surgery. I don't want it to be like unbalanced or anything, like in my ear, and then see my other piercing. But yeah, that is on the earlobe procedure that I had. I have to wait another year to get my ears re-pierced, and also having type 1 diabetes and doing this type of thing, diabetes in general, whenever you get a procedure, and I did mention this when I was actually making my video, didn't make it to the final cut. When you get any type of procedure, and I remember this when I was like, when you get your wisdom teeth out, and I was being told this too, just this general information, you have to make sure that your A1C is in a good range in order to get your procedure, because if your A1C is elevated, obviously the target range for A1C being 7.0, that's in most clinics, it's in my clinic, below 7. If your A1C is too high and you're getting a procedure, it can put you at risk because your body will have a harder time, or your body just isn't able to handle it as well. So it's important, they won't allow you to get a procedure if your A1C is not under a certain range, or at least that's what I've been told. I had this procedure, so I thought that I would include this in here, and then, well, now you see like afterward on my ear procedure. So